we want to see during NBA free agency. So I guess we'll work our way from 5 to 1. So go ahead and take your time with this. You can start at 5, I'll start at 5, and then we can work our way down. So what is number 5 for you, your list?
All right, I'm gonna just show the hat off first off, man. All right, home. This is the real hometown. I know I'm in Chicago. This is the real hometown. All right, so he said what?
That's a Tigers hat, right?
It's the Tigers. I know we on basketball, but you know I gotta rep. I got to.
From Detroit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. You know, Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones, as we always say. But anyway, man. Number 5 is my Pistons, bro. I need us to shake something up. I need us to get rid of this number 5 pick. We ain't got no business with this number 5 pick at this point. We already got our young talent. We got Cade, we got Ivy, we got Durham. We picked up Wiseman. So to me, I'm like, we don't need no other young guy to wait another 2 to 3 years to develop. Nah, we need to go get a dog. Let's go get Brandon Ingram. Let's go get Zion. Let's go get Zach LaVine. Let's go get somebody that's gonna bring another new mentality and another way to help develop our young guys to a point where they can win and lead this team to becoming the Pistons that everybody know us as, NBA champions. So we're gonna get back there at some point. But that's the first thing I need to see happen is for us to trade this number 5 pick that we won in the lottery to bring in some true talent. Give me a Kuzma. Give me a Porzingis. Give me a Miles Bridges. Give me somebody. I need us to go back to being relevant because let's face it, the NBA is a better place when the Detroit Pistons are winning and playing championship basketball. Let's just be honest about it. That's number 5. Number 4, I want to see the Phoenix Suns trade for DeAndre Ayton. Get him out of there, man. Ayton ain't got no business being there anymore at this point. He played. His time there was great. But the Suns, if they're really trying to win a championship, as we talked about, they need to get rid of Ayton and get some pieces around Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant because those 3 guys alone are not going to be able to do it themselves. So that's number 4 on the list. They got to get rid of Ayton. Ship him wherever. But Ayton is a guy who can really contribute to a team. And he can actually be helpful if he goes to a solid team that's already competitor. So it shouldn't be that damn hard to find some sort of trade for DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah. I agree.
It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that difficult. He's already a great player. All right, number 3. Number 3 here. I want to see Chris Paul go somewhere. So I got mixed feelings about Chris Paul. Chris Paul he's at the age where he's older. If he wanted to retire, everybody would respect it. We'd be like, legend, salute you, point guard, you are the man, go. And he's also very, very close to that point where people start playing and you continue to ruin the legacy that you've already built. One of my favorite players did this, Vince Carter. One of my favorite players to watch growing up, but the man stayed in the league too damn long. So now kids don't respect him because they hear Vince Carter, they think Atlanta Hawks Vince Carter. And I'm like, boy, you ain't watching when he was with the New Jersey Nets. Like, you ain't see when he was jumping over people in the Olympics. Huh? So to me, Chris Paul is on the border of doing that because people don't really know his New Orleans days. They ain't hip to when he was with the Clippers and all of that. Like, they ain't hip to when he was about to go play with Kobe and they was about to go win like 3 wings.
I was about to say
so, you know, they not hip to that Chris Paul. They hip to the older Chris Paul, you know, the guy who's always hurt. And because of that, I would respect Chris Paul if he retired. But honestly, I would love to go see him go play with LA. Just go play with LA, bro. Go play with LeBron. I mean, Melo, he was on his way out the league. He went to go play with LeBron. Chris Paul, I think he should go ahead and do it too. D Wade had his chance to go play with LeBron. Chris Paul, bro, just go to LA. Give Lakers that star that they want so bad since they claim they getting everybody in the offseason. Give them Chris Paul. So I would love to see that Chris Paul in the Lakers jersey, even though it wouldn't be, you know, during the right time or when he was supposed to be a Laker. They can have the old Chris Paul. It don't matter. So what I got? 2 left? 2 of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, I want to see Fred VanVleet. I want to see Fred VanVleet sign with the Boston Celtics. I think this would be a great move. He's a free agent right now. He just recently took his option with the Toronto Raptors. I think he can go to a team and make them immediate, like, better than what they are. And to me, right now, a great fit would be the Boston Celtics. We've had this conversation before. I think I've had this conversation at least where I've been saying the Celtics need an actual point guard, bro. Marcus Smart is not a point guard. Marcus Smart is a great player. He can hold it down at the point guard position, but when you talk about a consistent every night base, get them guys a true point guard. Let Marcus Smart play a different role for that team, whether he's coming off the bench, whether he's at the 2 and Brown and JT is at the 3 and 4, whatever the case is. Van Fleet would add a lot of depth to that Boston Celtics team. And the Celtics would be great adding a facilitator who can also shoot threes and who can also play defense. So that's another thing I want to see. And then number 1, save the best for last. I got to see my boy Damian Lillard get out of Portland, man. Yeah. Portland, I love how loyal he is to the Portland Trail Blazers, but ultimately Dame will never, ever, 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 ever win a ring in Portland. And I mean, I think he knows it at this point, and everybody who watches basketball knows it at this point, that he's never going to win a ring in Portland. However, whether he's in Miami, whether he's with Giannis, which would be a dream for some Milwaukee Bucks fans, including myself, who's a fan of Giannis, I don't care where he goes. I just want to see him get out of Portland, because every year we had the same conversation, probably for the last 5 years, of, is Dame going to leave? Where is Dame going to go? And I think this just needs to be the year where we actually see Damian Lillard go somewhere. So I'm at the point now, I'm not believing anything. I don't believe any reports. I don't believe any rumors. I'm not getting hype about any rumors. I'm not getting hype about any trade ideas for Damian Lillard until I see his ass is actually somewhere else on a different team, because this has happened in way too long. So that's number 1 on my list. I would love to see Damian Lillard sign with another team or get traded to another team, especially a team that could actually compete in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I like your list, man. I'm going to run through the things that I heard from your list, because you said a lot of good things.
Yeah.
You have a lot with that Pistons one, because I'm thinking, I talked about it. I said Monty Williams was a great hire for the Pistons. It was a mistake that the Suns went ahead and fired him. I think they're going to have fun rebuilding that culture with all the young pieces that the Pistons do have. And you got me thinking, because they do have the 5th pick. They do have Cunningham. They got who else? They got Bagley. They got a lot of young players. So you made me think, why do they have the 5th pick? You may as well trade to get Zion, because it seems like Zion's on his way out of New Orleans. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what a team like the Pistons or a team like the Hornets are going to do with their picks come draft night. So you have me thinking ever since you talked about that. I like the Fred VanVleet one to the Celtics, because, like you said, Marcus Smart has never been a true point guard. I think Malcolm Brogdon coming off the bench, he just won 6th Man of the Year this year. I think that's a good role that they should keep him at. And I think he's a good player to have in the second on the bench, because he was one of the best players on the bench unit that they had last year. So I would keep him there. Like you said, maybe move Smart to play shooting guard, because he can't facilitate as a point guard, as we saw. So I like that one. And that Chris Paul one. I wanted to ask you, do you think he benefits going with I think he should go to one of those LA teams. I think those are the best fits. Do you think he should go back to the Clippers, or do you think he should go with the Lakers? Which one do you think is a better fit?
I think he should go play with the Lakers, but ultimately I have that feeling that he's going to end up being a Clipper again.
Yeah.
Clippers is open to anybody. They taking anybody. Because everybody on that damn team get hurt every year. So they just like, yeah, come over here, come play with us. Come play with us, help us out however you can. Because we know at some point Kawhi is going to go down. We know Paul George is going to go down, unfortunately. So the Clippers take everybody. I think they end up with Chris Paul in the long run. But I would like to see Chris Paul and LeBron play together, because both of those guys probably have they're top 5 when it comes to IQ in basketball for sure.
I agree with that. I think in my head, I do think that the Clippers sounds good for him to go back there. But in terms of Kawhi and Paul George not being available all the time, I think it's just a better fit to go ahead and play with LeBron and Anthony Davis. And just say you were in your NBA career. So I think it's a better fit for Chris Paul to go there and play with LeBron. But, yeah, you had me thinking on a lot of them.
Yeah, man, that's my 5. I need to see the Pistons get rid of that 5th pick. What I say, Suns got to get rid of Aiden, bring in a bench or something. Number 3, I had Chris Paul to the Lakers. Number 2, Fred VanVleet to the Celtics. And then number 1, Damian Lillard got to get out of there. He got to get out of there. There's way too much talent being wasted on the Portland Trailblazers right now.
I agree. Yeah, starting at 5 for me, I know Draymond Green just opted out of his deal with the Warriors, but I like to see him come back, man. I don't know if this is to explore options. I don't know if this is him saying that I'm going to go to a different team this summer, or you just want one more big contract. I think it's just best to keep seeing the dynasty go on since KD's not around. But I would like to see the go on with the Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green until they officially start rebuilding. I know that his contract, if he opted into it, he would only be on there for one more year. I think he would make $40 million a year. But I would just like to see Draymond Green stay put. I would like to see them compete at least for the next 2 years or even 3 if they can. I know they're going to have some problems with money-wise soon because I know Klay Thompson's due for another contract. So I just want to see it keep going. And they're always going to be a threat in the Western Conference. We need NBA. So I think it's just best if Draymond Green stays with the Warriors this summer. I really can't. I mean, the only other place I can really see him with is really the Lakers. I can see him fitting there.
Buddy with LeBron, man. That's the only team saying, man. And I hate that I have to say, like, Draymond might go to the Lakers, but it's just because he's so buddy with LeBron. And it's like, I don't think I highly doubt Draymond's going to go to a losing team.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I agree because they are really good friends off the court. But, yeah, I just want to see that one more time. 4, I got an interesting one at 4. I want the Rockets to get a star this summer. I want to see it. Whether it's James Harden coming back, whether it's Kyrie wanting to go to a different city in the state of Texas, or they trade for a star. I want to see the Houston Rockets get a talented player this NBA offseason. And I think they can be a competitive team if they get a star this summer with those young players that they have right now with the Rockets. They have Ime Udoka, their head coach now. He is not with the Celtics anymore, but that's a good head coach to start going in a new direction. They have $61 million in cap space. I think that's key to get something this summer. And they have the 4th overall pick in the draft, whether they want to trade that away to get a star that could be on the trade block, or they get another talented piece, and then they get a star during the summer. So I want to see the Rockets become a competitive team again in the NBA. 3, this one's tough, but I know it's not going to happen. This one's like a wild card. This was a toss-up, but I want to see the breakup between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I'm all for it. I love NBA drama during NBA free agency. I think that's when the league the most excitement during the offseason. But I know the Celtics are all in to go re-sign Jaylen Brown, but I think this would be a great opportunity to go ahead and do it because I'm going to ask you right now, do you think Jaylen Brown is worth a max contract of $295 million?
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. Jaylen Brown is a phenomenal player, and he caught a lot of unnecessary slander in the playoffs simply because, like I get, he was inconsistent, but also Jason Tatum was inconsistent too.
Yeah,
people they've been throwing all of this hate on Jaylen Brown as if Jason Tatum ain't been doing the same thing. And then as if we didn't see the roles reversed in previous years. In previous years, we seen Jason Tatum wet the bed and Jaylen Brown be the dog that show up and actually help the Celtics win. It just so happened this year, we ended up watching it in roles reversed. Jason Tatum was the dog that helped them win, and Jaylen Brown wet the bed. But this same thing been happening over the past 3-4 years since they've been trying to beat LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, this has been going on for some time. And I get these guys they're still young, man. Jason Tatum's only like 25. They're still super young, and I feel like it would be a huge mistake for the Celtics to separate these guys just because they've been playing together since the first few years in the league. At this point, they play great. It's just the fact they both have to be consistent. And a lot of young guys at the age of 25 right now, they're still working on that consistency factor, especially in the postseason. Like, it's not too many guys right now or that I can think of who were early 20s in the NBA and was just extremely consistent every single night, especially in the postseason. So to me, I think they should just keep them both. And to me, he's worth the max. He's worth the max.
Yeah.
Especially if on any other team. On any other team, he's definitely worth the max.
I think there's
send him send him to the Pistons. If y'all don't want him, send him to the Pistons. We'll take
but it's like if the Celtics were the ones to give him the max contract, you got to give Tatum a max contract a year or so later. Then you're really screwed with having two monstrous max contracts. You really can't get any more pieces to help him. And then you are right. It is one doesn't show up one year, the next one doesn't show up the next. I think with that being said, I think they'd just be better off without each other, because better off with one guy having their own team and seeing who the more talented player was between them. Because, like you said, this year was the year Brown caught the heat, but last year Tatum caught the heat as well. So there have been times that they should have been. I think they should at least gotten a championship by now. They've been knocking on the door for a long time. The Eastern Conference runs. I'm not going to really say the NBA Finals last year, because you played the Warriors. They've been there. That was their first time, but they had several trips to the Eastern Conference Finals over the years, and I just think if you give Brown that max, you're going to go ahead and give Tatum that max. What can you really do after that?
So here's the thing. There's a couple options. One, they could take a pay cut. Brown could take a pay cut. I mean, he's making money from endorsements. He's been making a lot of money anyway. So he could take a pay cut. JT could possibly take a pay cut, which at some point I think they'll end up doing, because they both just want to win. And I don't think either one of them want to go somewhere else where they know they won't end up being able to play in the finals. They have already had that taste of being in the finals. Bro, you got to think, they was 2 games away from winning a championship together. So they've already had that taste of like, oh man, I'm right there. They've been competitive since they got in the league, even getting to the playoffs, losing to LeBron after consecutive years. Like, they've been competitive. So I don't think either one of them like really want to go somewhere and start their own thing. But here's why I know it can work, because we seen it work already. We seen it work when Ime Udoka was there.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have never looked better together when Ime Udoka was there. Before Udoka, it was shaky. We was having conversations of who needs to go, which one should leave, which one should stay. After Udoka, we having those same conversations again of who should leave, who should stay. But while Ime Udoka was there, that was some of the greatest basketball I've seen from those two together and from the Boston Celtics in a long time, bro. Like, they was whacking teams through the Eastern Conference when it had Ime Udoka there with the same team. And arguably the team is even better now, adding Brogdon and all of them. But the culture is a little bit different. So to me, that's what really made that difference, because when they were whacking all of these teams in the Eastern Conference, got to the finals, they just so happened to run into Steph Curry. Like, they just so happened to run into the Warriors, bro. Like, and they gave him a huge run for the money. Udoka, he made great adjustments for playing against the Warriors team for the first time. Like, it was amazing. But it just so happens the Warriors have been in that situation multiple times. They played against the greatest player in the world multiple times. And ultimately, again, they ran into Steph Curry. So it's like, we've seen this work already. So to me, I'm like, I can't give up. It's more so, what does my coach have to do to make sure that these two guys are going to be on the same page, and that this team is going to be on the same page as its stars, which is those two?
There is some truth to what you said. After the coaching change, you could definitely see there was some. I mean, we really couldn't see like behind the scenes, but I think there was some things going on with the team. The chemistry wasn't as strong in the playoffs. There was time to struggle because of coaching adjustments that Udoka provided them last year during the playoffs. I think there is some truth to that, what you said, with the coaching that Brown and Tatum, they looked really good last year.
Yeah.
Because I questioned myself before that. I've been questioning this for a long time. But last year, I didn't question it. But this year, I'm starting to question, because you're going to throw in all this money towards those two. It's just, to me, if there's no money to get other pieces, then you're basically screwed with just depending on them two. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this is gonna happen. But that was a wild card for me. If Brown was shipped off, I would like to see him become a leader of a young team like OKC or the Rockets or even the Pistons, like you said. I would like to see that. I would like to see that if, for whatever reason, they don't re-sign him. I am expecting for them to re-sign him. But honestly, I would like to see the breakup. I like to see NBA drama, NBA free agency.
I respect.
Two. Oh man, let me think of one. Because two, I wanted Bradley Beal to go to the Heat, but that ain't happening. Two,
No,
I would like to see Zion Williamson traded by draft night. I think the Pelicans, it's time to do something different because, in my opinion, Zion was the #1 overall pick in 2019. He was he was the best prospect since LeBron James, according to a lot of people. And you played less than 130 games in a matter of 4 years. To me, I know injuries and stuff happen, but to me, that's a bust. You're not out there playing. You're not out there playing. You the #1 overall pick. You got all these high expectations. I'm not even gonna get into the other part with females that's going on with him. But still, I would have expected more in Zion's run so far, and I think some players need a change of scenery. I talked about that. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the Pelicans to one day relocate from New Orleans, but I think Zion, a breath of fresh air, changing teams, I think that'd be good for him. And I think that the Pelicans, to get somebody up there with their selection to replace Zion, I think that wouldn't be a bad idea if they wanted to ship him off to the Hornets. I'm going to keep mentioning your Pistons in there.
yeah.
Or even the Rockets. I think one of those three teams would be good to see Zion and LaMelo play with new ownership in Charlotte. Maybe they could get going again. Maybe with the Houston Rockets, they could get going. With Zion could get going, and they could get a star during free agency. Maybe even with the Pistons with all them young, talented pieces. But I would like to see Zion on the move. If he could just stay healthy, I think he's a good player. But for now, thinking about all the high expectations, you get the #1 overall pick in that draft. I don't even view him as the best player in that draft anymore. I think John Morant's the best player in that draft, but he's got his own problems. But it's so much. I think it's just time for the Pelicans to go ahead and trade Zion. I would like to see that come draft, at least by draft night.
Oh man, that's tough. I definitely understand it. And I ain't gonna lie, I wouldn't be mad if Zion went to the Pistons. Let's be real. I'm gonna be happy as hell if that happened. However, I'm gonna say I know he's been injured. The main thing that caught my attention is you said bust. Oh man, I know Zion has been injured, but also too, he's still very young. He's a young guy, man. Embiid, one of the best players in the league that today started off, had a very, very rough start to his NBA career, man. He was injured the first few years of his career, but eventually when he was able to play, he started dominating. So it's like, I understand, Zion hasn't really given you what a person may desire at this time, but ultimately when that man is healthy, he is a monster. It's just like, does the organization have enough patience to stick with it and allow him to get healthy and be able to play and provide for that team? So for the Pelicans, they can afford to get rid of him. They can probably get something great in return to help Brandon Ingram and to help Alvarado and help all the other pieces they got over there. But I don't think I would want to take that risk just yet to get rid of Zion. Just because he's still such a young guy, man. Then when he's healthy, he's helping Brandon Ingram out so much. And CJ McCollum, Alvarado, like I would be patient, man. Patience is the way to go. Like we look at all other examples. Like I said, in B, you look at the Denver Nuggets, man. Michael Porter Jr. had a rough start to his season early on. Jokic wasn't really no name when he first came into the league. Jamal Murray, he ended up eventually getting hurt, ACL injury. Like, he had that rough start, but if those guys were impatient, or if the front office was impatient and was like, all right, let's move Murray. He's injured, not really going to be the same guy. Or let's move Michael Porter Jr. He can't stay healthy. Or let's move Nikola Jokic. He's not really the guy we thought he was. Mm-hmm. Man, that Denver Nuggets team would be completely different. We wouldn't even be talking about the NBA Finals with them at all. So to me, I think they should stay patient with Zion. I know it's a lot going on. I know he tripping right now with the whole situation and stuff. Definitely don't want to move him to Houston. I'm gonna just say that, you know, they be saying strip clubs out there in Houston is something different. So you don't want to take Zion out to that element. So I say just be patient with Zion. He's a super young dude. He's gonna mature. He's gonna develop. But I would hate to be on the opposite ending of seeing him do that with another organization if I'm the New Orleans Pelicans. Damn, I would be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. I just think all the expectations that he's had and everything that what he was supposed to. Now, I do agree when he is healthy on the court, he's an all-star player. He's been to the all-star a couple times. But yeah, he does help Brandon Ingram out when he's on the court. CJ McCollum, he helps out as well. But yeah, he's a good player. But I got to just take some accountability, not accountability because injuries, you can't really see that coming. But I just got like, there's been times where he's came into camp like overweight than what he was supposed to be.
Yep.
You have these high expectations for you. If you're supposed to set the bar of what for the next generation, from all the I should say like all the comparisons that he's gotten, I just expect more. So maybe you are right. Maybe like you said about the Jamal Murray, about the injury. Yeah, I do agree with that because like you said, I know for a fact that the Nuggets would have made a mistake if they went ahead and got rid of Jamal Murray going through that injury. And you made a good point about Joel Embiid. He was hurt for a while, and then when he was healthy, he got it together, and he's one of the best players. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think you did make a good lot of points for that.
Oh, yeah. With Zion too, though. I mean, it's in terms of expectations, it's insane. And I hate that media does this. It's insane to say somebody's going to be like LeBron. Like, that's insane. And so I understand why those expectations, like he's nowhere near the expectations that people placed upon him because they put them so high. Like when you automatically almost set a player up to fail when you say, oh, they're going to be like LeBron. Like, ain't nobody like LeBron. Like, come on now. Like, you almost guarantee they fail. So it's that, to me, I don't like that. And I definitely get your point, though. Like, you know, he's not living up to those expectations. But it's just the fact, like, damn, the media set the expectation to be the best, literally the best player in the world. So it's crazy to say that. So, but I get your point about the expectations for sure, too.
Yeah, and I think the media is wrong at times when they do that. I think that it could be better for them to basically have their own narrative instead of some like Zion next LeBron. Let him be his own guy. Compare him to somebody else that LeBron and Zion really don't play the same position. So I don't see where the compare. I mean, Zion does not have he's never had the basketball IQ that LeBron James has by getting his teammates open and things like that. So I think the media at times they can get overwhelmed or carried away with comparing players like that. So I agree with you. I think they should be their own players, and like you said, when they have those high expectations, they're meant to fail and not be at the top level that they're supposed to be at. So I like that. I agree with that as well. One for me, we hit it off with one. I agree too. It's time for Damian Lillard to leave Portland because he's gonna be 33 by the start of the next NBA season. Look, I respect him for being loyal to the city of Portland for so long, but come on now. After they traded his boy CJ McCollum, he should have wanted out of that organization. Yeah,
it's time. He gotta go.
Once they seen they traded your boy last year during the season, he should have requested a trade for. This is a long time coming, and I think I do respect players staying loyal because this is how teams are created by players getting frustrated, not wanting to wait through and go through the process. There's some players that I do respect for that. Bradley Beal's in that conversation for sticking along so long. I know during 2020 there were some talks with Giannis leaving the Bucks and going to form a super team. He stayed loyal to Milwaukee. So when I think of loyalty, I think of those three players in this day and age staying loyal to their franchises. But they made it clear that they're not getting him any help in Portland. Like, they've had several opportunities to get him help, and it's only a matter of time before Damian Lillard's decline starts. I think he still has a lot left in the tank. But being up there, being in 33, I think by 36, 37 is not going to be the same Dame time that we see. So I think it's fair to him to get a shot at a championship. I think some good fits for him. Well, obviously, I want to see the Miami Heat. I want to see that so bad. But besides the Heat, I think the Knicks could be a good fit. I think the Brooklyn Nets could be a good fit. If the Boston Celtics can somehow, some way make it work, I think that's a good fit. I think all of those fits are good for Damian Lillard. So he deserves it. He deserves to actually play for a championship contender. It's time. And I think this is the best time. Summer, like you said, when you talk about Damian Lillard, I'm not hearing no more reports that he wants to stay. I believe it when I see it because you're not getting him help. You're not getting him help. And they're not trying at all. And yes, they have the number 3 pick Thursday for the draft, but what is a young rookie really going to do in terms of elevating himself to be a championship contender? For that team to be a championship contender playing alongside Damian Lillard, that's not going to help next season. So just go ahead, get it over with. He did everything he could for the franchise. At least got them to a Western Conference Finals years ago, him and CJ McCollum. But it's time. It's time for sure.
Man, I 100% agree. Any of those teams that you named, the Knicks, the Nets, the Celtics, Miami, any of those teams are better than where the hell he is now in Portland. Because he ain't winning nothing in Portland. Like, he ain't even getting to the playoffs. And Portland ain't even a big market. At least if you go to the Knicks, at least you're in a big market, so you're going to stay relevant no matter what. If you go to Brooklyn, still kind of small market, but it's New York. So, you get some more. And then in New York, they actually got a lot of good pieces over there with Bridges and stuff like that from that KD trade. So they got some nice pieces over there. And then obviously, like you said, just huge game changer. So I 1,000% agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think, and now I think about it, the only Portland is a small market. Like, obviously, they're never going to get the big names of free agency, unfortunately. But when I think about it, their only big signing that they really got Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum for help is Carmelo Anthony. That was really the only true big name that I could ever remember getting them, bringing him to Portland to potentially help. But that was never enough. And I think it's been clear as day. I even remember when they tried to trade CJ McCollum, they thought Ben Simmons was going to be a tag team duo for Damian Lillard to win a championship. Stop playing. They knew long time they just want him to stay, and they were never going to give him help. They were never going to get that man help. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, that is so true.
Yeah. And I think that's what really hurts some teams, because they're not really a big market city team that is going to attract a Steph Curry to come play for Portland when there's a New York, a Miami, a Los Angeles. I'm just saying, forever become a free agent. It's just unfortunate that those teams have to suffer through that and maybe build through the draft in order to become good, because they're never going to hit on those free agent names.
I mean, yeah, it is, but so it's crazy. It is possible though. Like, I feel like the front office just has a lot to do with it in terms of making those right moves, man, because we've seen some smaller market teams. Like Denver's a small market team, but they just been making the right moves consistently over the past few years. And another small market team, I won't say small market, but the San Antonio Spurs, they're not huge in terms of the popularity. Like, people don't desire to go to the Spurs like they desire to go to LA, or like they may desire to go to New York or Boston or Philly or anything. But San Antonio Spurs, the front office are so meticulous about everything they do over the course of the years that it sets them up and it puts them in good position to be able to make great moves to keep them afloat and keep their name relevant. And that's what we fail to see from a lot of different small markets, because they lack the impatience. It's the impatience. They're like, all right, we might have got a good star, but then they get impatient with the star. You try to trade him after 4 years when the guy's still 23, when you drafted him when he was 19. Like, you got to be patient with the guys and make sure they have the right pieces around them to develop as you expect them to develop. Because without the right coaches, without the right trainers, without the right skills development and all of that, like, you're not going to be able to develop your star how they should be. And I've witnessed this all too long with the Detroit Pistons. I hate that I keep going back, but man, we've drafted so many people that we were supposed to develop to be good, but they were not good. Some of the drafts was just bad drafting, but ultimately there's been a lot of guys that really were great basketball players, but they left Detroit and gotten a better opportunity with coaching other players in a system that actually just elevated their talent and helped gel with the talent that they bring to the team and make them great. Bruce Brown was a Piston. Caldwell Pope was a Piston. Chris Middleton was a Piston. Like, bro, it's the list goes on and on and on. But when these guys were in Detroit, they were stinky. You would think they were the worst players in the world because the Pistons were so discombobulated in terms of bringing the right pieces and getting the right guys around them and helping them develop. But as soon as you see, like, they're in a different situation, we like, damn, this guy's actually good. Or he's a great role player. He's this. He's good. He's this. He's this. And it's like, that just goes with having the right people around to be able to develop those guys. So that's my thoughts on that, man.
Yeah, I agree because, like you said, what Denver's front office did, Jokic, finding Jokic or Jamal Murray and them coming from being on the bench to becoming their biggest stars and helping them win a championship, they did good. A smaller market team, I think, is going to pay off of what they're doing right now. OKC, their draft picks are paying off. They still got a lot of draft picks left that could ultimately end up getting some superstars there maybe. But I think, yeah, you are right about the small market teams. It's just some teams, it's just like Portland. Like I said, sometimes they're automatically going to be disqualified from NBA free agency at times because they're not going to want it. But also, the front office has to do a better job of getting help, getting the pieces. Because if somebody doesn't see any pieces there, who the hell is going to want to come there during NBA free agency? So, yeah, you're right about that. You are right about that.
Yeah, that's so true, man. Portland, they definitely got to do a better job from within that front office. They got to do way better.
Yeah, I agree with that. But man, go ahead and wrap it up, man. I thank you a lot, Manny. If you guys haven't checked him out, check out Manny Wilson from The Run Podcast. He's the host of that. You guys can check him out on all platforms. Thank you, Manny. I think we should do this again. Whether I come on your show where you come back and we talk about basketball. I know you can talk about football, so that's coming around the corner. We can talk about that as well. So, yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to collaborating with you again in the future, man. But great episode tonight. Glad you hopped on.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, I appreciate you having me on. We definitely got to hit it off on another episode. So maybe next time it'll be back on the Run Podcast. So we definitely going to hit it off. But, hey, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for inviting me. Super excited about the conversation as well, man.
Yeah, of course. But, yeah, that's all the time I have for you guys today. This is your host, Tom Cyree, signing off. The host from The Run Podcast, Manny Wilson, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode. Thanks again, Manny, for joining in tonight.
Yep, no problem, man. Thank you.
Thank you.